The dirt road is completely quiet. It is just outside the city limits. It is pitch black. A single police car slowly pulls up. Its red and blue lights flash wildly against the tall, dark trees. Officer Ramirez steps out into the cold night air. He has his right hand firmly on his heavy service weapon. He slowly walks toward the abandoned rusty truck. The driver's side door is wide open. Ramirez clicks his heavy flashlight on. He shines the bright beam inside the dark cabin. He instantly stops breathing. He has seen many bad things in his long career as a cop. He has seen street fights. He has seen normal murders. But this is entirely different. The man sitting in the front seat is not just dead. He has been deliberately put on display for the world to see. His throat has been deeply cut. His tongue has been forcefully pulled down through the open wound. It now rests on his bloody chest. It looks exactly like a gruesome dark red necktie. Officer Ramirez slowly drops his police radio. He feels physically sick to his stomach. His hands start to shake uncontrollably in the cold air. How did this happen? What happens next? But this didn't start here. To truly understand this absolute nightmare, we have to look deep into the dark, twisted mind of the cartel. You see, cartels do not just move illegal drugs across borders. They move pure, unfiltered fear. Fear is their absolute greatest weapon. It is their strongest shield. If people are deeply afraid of you, they do not ever steal from you. If people are deeply afraid of you, they absolutely never talk to the police. When a powerful cartel wants to permanently silence a loud town, they do not write a polite warning letter. They do not call the local news station to make a threat. They create a shocking visual nightmare. They send a heavy message without using any words at all. But that was only the beginning. Before we go deeper, make sure you're subscribed. We post stories like this every single day. The horrific, bloody scene Officer Ramirez found has a very specific, terrifying name. It is heavily known as the Colombian necktie. But the modern, wealthy drug lords did not actually invent it. To find its true, dark origin, we have to travel far back in time. We have to go back to the late 1940s and 50s in the country of Colombia. During this dark time, the beautiful country was completely torn apart by a brutal, messy civil war. It was a highly tragic period, simply called la violencia, the violence. Fierce political groups were violently fighting for absolute control over the land. Simple farmers were suddenly fighting their own friendly neighbors. Brothers were turning against brothers. It was total, unpredictable chaos in the streets and in the Green Mountains. And in this extreme chaos, normal, quick killing was simply not enough anymore. Furious fighters wanted to mentally break their bitter enemies. They wanted to strike deep, paralyzing terror into the hearts of anyone who found the fallen bodies. So they invented terrible, unforgettable signatures. The necktie was one of the most famous and most feared. It was specifically designed to look like a permanent, mocking warning to the public. If you bravely spoke out against the armed group, your loud voice would be permanently silenced, and your cold body would be used as a public billboard of horror. What happened next shocked everyone. The violent civil war eventually ended after many years of bloodshed. But the dark, psychological tactics did not truly disappear. They just waited patiently in the dark shadows of history. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, a brand new kind of war rapidly began, the massive drug war. Ruthless men like Pablo Escobar and the powerful Cali cartel started making billions of illegal dollars. With billions of dollars comes absolute, uncontrollable greed. With billions of dollars comes extreme, twisting paranoia. The wealthy drug lords knew the local police were always watching their mansions. They knew the American DEA was secretly listening to their private phone calls. But their absolute biggest fear was not the armed police. Their absolute biggest fear was their very own people. A single, quiet informant could easily bring down a massive billion-dollar empire. A single nervous whisper to the wrong cop could put a kingpin in a cold, hard American prison for life. The paranoid cartels needed a strong way to guarantee absolute silence in their ranks. And that's when everything changed. They brought back the old, forgotten nightmare from the Civil War. They firmly brought back the necktie. Let's closely look at how this extreme psychological warfare actually worked in real life. Imagine a man named Carlos. Carlos is a low-level, invisible smuggler for a major cartel. He drives the heavy delivery trucks late at night. He knows all the secret, hidden routes across the borders. He makes very good money to feed his kids, but he is definitely not the big boss. One dark night, Carlos makes a massive, life-changing mistake. He gets pulled over by the local state police. The smart police quickly find the hidden compartments stuffed with drugs in his truck. Carlos is instantly arrested. He's handcuffed and thrown into the back of a police cruiser. Now he is sitting alone in a freezing cold, bright interrogation room. The tough detectives slowly slide a piece of typed paper right across the metal table. It is a legal deal. If Carlos bravely gives them the secret names of his big bosses, he goes completely free. He gets to go home to his family. If he stays quiet and protects the cartel, he goes proudly to a maximum security prison for 20 long years. His hands are shaking. His heart is pounding in his chest. She felt trapped. He felt trapped. The walls are rapidly closing in. He has a very young, loving family. He cannot spend his entire life locked in a rusty metal cage. So his hands shake. He grabs the pen. He signs the paper. He talks to the police. But he had no idea what was coming. Carlos is quickly released from police custody the very next day. He walks out into the warm sun. He thinks he is perfectly safe. He honestly thinks he completely outsmarted the massive criminal system. He quickly plans to pack his bags and move his family far away. But the massive cartel has dark eyes literally everywhere. They have paid spies hiding in the local police department. They have paid spies sitting in the courtrooms. Within 24 short hours, the angry cartel boss knows exactly what Carlos did. The boss does not just order a quick, simple hit on Carlos. A quick bullet to the head is far too easy. It is too painless. A quick death absolutely does not teach a valuable lesson to the other truck drivers. The boss wants a massive public display of pain. He wants a dark masterpiece of pure terror. He knew this could destroy everything if his men thought they could just talk and walk away. There was absolutely no way back now for Carlos. Carlos is sitting quietly at home, watching the evening television. His wife is cooking dinner in the kitchen. The heavy front door is suddenly and violently kicked open. 4 heavily armed men rapidly rush inside the small house. They grab Carlos by the hair. They aggressively drag him out into the dark, quiet street. He screams loudly for help. He begs for his life. But his terrified neighbors quickly lock their front doors. They immediately turn off all their inside lights. They peer silently through the blinds. They know exactly who these violent men are. Nobody is coming to help Carlos tonight. The police will not arrive in time. What happened next shocked everyone.
The armed men throw Carlos into the trunk of a fast car. They drive him far out into the dark country. They drive to a lonely, dusty dirt road. The exact same dirt road where Officer Ramirez will eventually find him hours later. They pull Carlos out of the trunk. They do not ask Carlos any questions. They do not want his explanations. They already fully know the bitter truth. The execution is incredibly fast. It is violently brutal. They hold him down against the front seat of an abandoned truck. They expertly perform the terrible, bloody signature of the cartel. The knife is sharp. The cut is deep. They purposefully leave his ruined body sitting perfectly upright in the front seat. They leave the truck doors wide open to the night air. They strongly want him to be found as quickly as possible. They desperately want the morning commuters to see him. When the bright morning sun finally rises, normal people see the bloody truck. Word rapidly spreads through the busy city like wild, uncontrollable fire. Did you hear what happened to Carlos the driver? Did you see what they did to his face? The local police arrive and take hundreds of grim photos. The city newspapers hear the dark rumors and print terrifying headlines. The cartel never writes a single physical word on paper. They do not send a threatening letter in the mail to the other smugglers. They do not make any scary phone calls in the middle of the night. The horrific, bloody visual is the only message they will ever need. The violent message is incredibly loud and perfectly clear. This is exactly what happens when you speak to the police. The twisted necktie specifically targets the victim's throat and the mouth. It is a twisted, highly symbolic punishment for talking. It permanently silences the victim, and it completely silences everyone else who looks at it. And that's when everything changed.
Because of these visual, waking nightmares, the cartels gained absolute, terrifying power over the people. Heavy fear totally paralyzed the entire criminal justice system for many long years. Brave witnesses suddenly refused to ever testify in open court. If you accidentally saw a cartel murder on the street, you immediately looked the other way. If you accidentally found cartel drugs in an alley, you quickly walked away. Honest police officers quit their dangerous jobs just to protect their families. Tough judges dropped massive criminal cases out of pure, crippling fear. The psychological warfare worked absolutely perfectly for the powerful kingpins. The cartels fully realized that the human mind is incredibly fragile. If you show the human mind something truly horrific, it will do absolutely anything to avoid that exact same fate. The dark legend of the Colombian necktie spread far across the entire world. It was nervously whispered about in the dark corners of Miami, Los Angeles, and New York City. Even hardened American police officers felt a cold chill down their spines when they heard the true stories from the South. It quickly became the ultimate global symbol of the drug war's extreme, unmatched brutality. But that was only the beginning of the end. Eventually, the mighty, arrogant cartels pushed the world too far. Angry governments firmly struck back with massive, overwhelming force. The 1990s brought massive, violent crackdowns on the major drug organizations. Heavily armed military forces aggressively raided cartel strongholds in the jungles and the cities. The untouchable kingpins were relentlessly hunted down, captured, or killed while on the run. The giant empires built on fear finally began to crumble and collapse. As the major cartels heavily fractured into smaller, weaker pieces, the highly organized terror changed. The specific, horrific ritual of the necktie became much less common. It slowly faded away from the daily newspaper headlines. It became a dark, whispering ghost of the violent past. But the deep, invisible psychological scars on the beautiful country remained forever. The dark legacy of that specific fear never truly vanished from the memories of the people who lived through it.
Today, the phrase still makes normal people shudder in fear. It is referenced in modern movies. It is written about in true crime books. It proudly stands as a grim, dark reminder of how extremely far human beings will actually go to protect their dirty money and their fragile power. It completely proves that the most terrifying weapons in a war are not always loud guns or massive bombs. Sometimes the absolute most terrifying weapon is the silent, bloody message you leave behind in the dark for others to find. The cartels proved to the world that pure terror is a universal language, and they spoke it absolutely fluently. In the end, power always comes with a price. If you liked this video, make sure you subscribe and follow the channel. We upload new videos every single day. And trust me, the next story is even more intense, more surprising, and something you definitely don't want to miss. I'll see you in the next one.